I can't even count the number of times that I've been in some very dangerous, precarious situations that I'm lucky to have escaped.
Art is a safe place for Jamie Coble. It calms her memories of a difficult early life. Coble is Métis. She grew up with her family in Lac La Biche in northern Alberta, but her life changed forever at a house party when she was 15.
The next thing I remember was waking up with somebody on top of me.
She was raped repeatedly by boys from her high school.
And so I stopped going to school. I stopped working.
Coble was so traumatized, she ran away from home to a relative in Edmonton. Her parents didn't call or try to find her. She's discovered she's one of many who've been through this.
It wasn't until I was about 26 years old, 27 years old, that I met an Indigenous woman who said she had never been sexually abused, and I didn't believe her. Every single Aboriginal woman that I had known had been sexually abused. This is the very first drama I ever did.
Coble believes her story can help a national inquiry into violence against Indigenous women and girls, but the hearings are slow to get going.
It was frustrating to figure out that this is just really right in the beginning, and that the work hasn't even really begun when it comes to making my story count.
I understand the impatience and the frustration.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has repeatedly promised to investigate the safety of Indigenous women. The government launched the inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls with much fanfare last August. 5 commissioners have 2 years and $53 million to hold public hearings with families and survivors. It was seen as a key building block in Trudeau's efforts towards reconciliation with Indigenous people. But it's had a rocky start. Francine Joe, the acting president of the Native Women's Association, gave the commission a failing grade in a report released today. One of the biggest issues, a lack of communication, leaving families wondering what's going on.
We were confused, really, and now we're at a point where we're extremely frustrated.
Sources say the commission is disorganized. There's infighting. Staff are spread across the country, and they're so cautious that little information gets out. Thousands of Indigenous women are missing or have been murdered in Canada. Many families see the inquiry as their last hope, but it says it needs time to meet those expectations.
It would be nothing to go blow into town, set up an inquiry, say people come, you know, give us your story and blow out of town. But that's not doing the national inquiry in the way that we want to do it.
Wanique Horn-Miller has been meeting with the families to prepare for the hearings. She admits that communication has been a problem, and she understands the anger that flared up recently when the inquiry pushed the bulk of testimony from survivors and family members to the fall.
We are, you know, forging a path and trying our best to do it in an Indigenous way, and that is something that's never been done before.
We don't have enough time at this point to be postponing these types of meetings.
And the Liberal government could wear this politically. This week, a coalition of families and Indigenous groups sent a highly critical letter to the head of the commission, saying, "We request that you substantially rework your approach in order to regain trust and ensure that families are no longer feeling re-traumatized in this process."
If this inquiry fails, we're going to chalk it up as Indigenous people to just another failure due to colonialism to the government. And it's going to be hard to repair that type of relationship.
Jamie Coble remembers when her 3 children performed the day Justin Trudeau was sworn in as Prime Minister, and the hope she felt when his government announced the inquiry. So she's hanging on to that despite the problems. She's determined to tell her story.
I think that a lot of people will choose not to testify, and I think that people will just be tired and not trusting the process because it's already been so uncertain and unsteady.
Margot McDermott, CBC News, Ottawa.
And to further underscore problems with the inquiry, there's not even agreement on the number of victims. The RCMP puts the number as high as 1,200. The Native Women's Association of Canada puts it closer to 4,000. To date, fewer than 300 families have chosen to take part in the process.